Hey everyone, we need to have a little heart-to-heart fireside chat, if you will. First of all, I wanted to let all of you know that I am doing much better. My ribs are starting to heal. I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there, and I'm much better than I was before. Thank you for everybody that's been praying for healing over me and my family. I appreciate it. Just want to let you know I'm doing better. Now, secondly, let's get to the more important matter. I may not have been putting out much content, but I'm still reading your messages. I'm still watching the videos that you're tagging me in. And I have to be honest with you guys, a lot of the stuff I see just hurts my heart. It really, really bothers me when two people who follow me, who I very much love and appreciate, are at each other's throats in comment section and making videos back and forth to each other about things that, quite frankly, we really don't need to be arguing about anymore. We are called so many times in the Old and New Testament to make peace with people, especially our brothers and sisters, meaning the people that also believe we need to keep the commandments of God and our faith in Jesus and the faith of Jesus. Those are the things that make us brothers and sisters. And whether you believe a mainstream Christian or a Jew or whatever is not your brother, fine. They fall into the category of your neighbor, and we're called to make peace with our neighbors when possible. If they don't want to listen to the truth, that is between them and the Most High. That will be their walk, and they're going to have to make an account of everything they do. But if they know the truth, if you've told them the truth, if they've heard the truth, if they've actually read their Bible, they are supposed to know the truth, right? So if they choose not to listen, that's on them, right? You've done everything that you can. You don't need to waste any more time on it. You don't need to create dissension. You don't need to argue. You don't need to slander or gossip or be hateful. Stop. Just stop doing that. And for those of you that follow me and value my opinion, if you do, then especially when it comes to our brothers and sisters, please stop arguing about things. Now, don't get me wrong. I think our walk is very important, but each person is convicted to do their walk different ways. And we can't necessarily say that is or is not right. I mean, that's not really between us. There are certain things that are cut and dry. If these people are slandering others, if they are creating dissensions, if they're drunkards, if they're walking in adultery, or the things that are blatantly obvious that we shouldn't be doing, you absolutely are called to call those people out. And if they don't listen, if they don't change, then stop associating with them. But that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the people that choose to keep Sabbath evening to evening, or morning to morning, or sunrise to sunset. We don't need to be arguing with these people. They have studied the Bible, I hope, and have determined what is right for their walk based on the knowledge they have and their study of the scriptures. I'm not going to argue with people anymore that disagree about the hours that I choose to keep Sabbath. If you believe you need to keep Sabbath and you're doing it to the best of your ability with the best of your knowledge, I'm not going to grieve you. And I hope you don't grieve other people just because they're doing it a little bit different than you are. We don't need to be arguing about the calendar either. I mean, I will speak to somebody all day long about the calendar if they want to know what I believe and why I believe it. But at the end of the day, if you keep the Enoch calendar or the Zadok calendar, or if you keep the Jews calendar, fine. I'm just glad you're putting in the effort to keep the Father's feast days. Now, I would hope you would do your own research and come to your own conclusions instead of just blindly following people because that's what they believe or that's what they're convicted about. I want you to come to your own conclusions and do what you believe is right based on your knowledge and study of the scriptures. But the fact that you're doing it and trying it is enough for me not to argue with you anymore. I was just recently tagged in a video where two people that follow me and two people I like and enjoy the company of were arguing back and forth about the name Jesus and the name Yeshua. That's not an argument that I think we need to be having anymore. If someone wants to call him Jesus, fine. I say Jesus sometimes. I use that name when I speak to people. I know it's not his name. I know no one called him Jesus when he was alive. But to say that no one that calls on the name Jesus is going to be heard by him, you can't say that. You can't know that. In fact, I'll never forget this story that I read. I follow Voice of the Martyrs. There's a link on my link tree for them to support them. They're not a Torah observant, whole Bible believing ministry, but they do so much incredible stuff for the kingdom, and people overseas share their stories. And this one from a guy in a small village in the middle of nowhere in India is one I'll never forget. In a nutshell, he had a near-death experience, and while he was under, he met Yeshua, and Yeshua told him, "Find me." And he says, "Who are you? I don't know who you are." And he says, "Jesus. Look for Jesus and you will find me." Right? To say that that person didn't actually have that experience when he says that he's never in his entire life heard the name Jesus and knew absolutely nothing about Christianity or the Bible, to say that he didn't have that experience, or to say that that wasn't Yeshua because he called himself Jesus, is something I just can't choose to believe. I think it's wrong, and I think you can't know that. Now, there is an argument going around about Jesus being the Antichrist, and to an extent I believe that, but let me be clear about what that means. The Jesus of the Bible, the Yeshua, whose name was transliterated into Jesus in your 66-book Bible, the one written about in the Gospels, he is the Messiah. Whether his name is printed as Jesus, or whether it's printed as Yeshua, or Yahusha, or Yehoshua, doesn't matter. The Jesus of the Bible is the real Messiah sent by the Most High God. But the Jesus of the world, the Jesus that's preached throughout all mainstream religions now, the lawless Jesus, the one that says, "I'll love you no matter what you do," the one that says, "I'll accept you no matter what you do," that is the Antichrist spirit. That is the Antichrist Jesus. But the Jesus of the Bible, the one who told you to do and observe everything God told you to do, the one who showed us how to do it, the one whose faith we are supposed to emulate, the one whose footsteps we are supposed to walk in, that is the Messiah, whether you call him Jesus or Yeshua. And I don't think, as whole Bible believers, we need to be arguing about this anymore, especially with each other. If someone's convicted to call him Jesus and someone's convicted to call him Yahusha or Yeshua or Yehoshua, I'm not going to argue with you anymore. The only thing I'm going to say is, if you believe in the Jesus that says, "I'll accept you no matter what you do," well, that's not the right Jesus. That's not the Jesus of the Bible. That's all people that I know were trying to get at when they said Jesus is the Antichrist, because it's not what you think it is. The Jesus of the Bible is our Messiah. I wanted to clear that up, but we don't need to be having these stupid arguments anymore about the calendar, about the hours that we're supposed to be keeping Sabbath. I have studied this up, down, left, and right, as much information as I could possibly find from everywhere I could find it, and there's no definitive answer. I celebrate on the Zadok calendar. It might be wrong, right? But the Enoch calendar might be wrong. The Hillel 2 calendar that the Jews celebrate on, that one might be wrong. We all might be wrong. At the end of the day, none of us are perfectly serving the Most High. But you need to be convicted to do your best. And if that looks a little bit different for you than it does for me, I'm not going to grieve you, and I don't want you to grieve each other. It hurts my heart when I see this. And if you are followers of mine, please listen to my words. Please meditate on it, and please stop arguing with other believers. Do your best to keep peace. And if they don't want to listen, if they don't want to observe the whole truth, that's on them. You did your part. You can't take it personally, and you can't take ownership over other people's walks. You need to worry about your own walk. That is what's important. And of course, you need to share the truth. But if people don't want to listen, they don't want to listen. Don't argue about things that we don't need to argue about. Call out things that the Bible calls us to call out. Okay? Things that are obvious. Can't be an adultery. You can't not be trying to keep the Sabbath. You can't be eating pork. The Bible tells us we cannot do these things. Call people out on it. If they don't listen, it's on them. Right? But the rest of this stuff that you can't know 100%, stop arguing about it. Show a spirit of love. Walk like Yeshua would. Don't create dissensions. Do your best, people. Read your Bible.